Speaking of needs to stop, Leslie Jones needs to stop. This one to me is interesting because what I believe to be a bit of a hypocritical situation. Now, Leslie Jones calls Chris Evans fine as fuck on Twitter, and he responds. And this is coming from People Magazine. This has been kind of celebrated around like entertainment Twitter, entertainment blogs, like Leslie Jones and her peak commentary on everything. And she called Chris Evans fine as fuck. And oh, it's so amazing what happened next. But yet, just to kind of start this thing off here, just to kind of start this thing off, doesn't like Leslie Jones support Me Too? I mean, doesn't Me Too kind of also work towards men? Aren't men allowed to be sexually harassed? And if the roles were reversed on Twitter, if it was Chris Evans saying to Leslie Jones, "Girl, you fine as fuck," what would happen? What would happen to Chris Evans's career? Right? What would happen? So, obviously we already know. It says here, though, that Leslie Jones is officially echoing everyone's thoughts while watching Avengers Infinity War. I don't know. I've seen Avengers Infinity War now about 5 times, and I never sat there and drowned my panties looking at Chris Evans. That didn't happen. I'm sorry. And now the Saturday Night Live actress, 50 years old, I love that they added her age in there, tweeted her thoughts while viewing the superhero movie on Tuesday night. And Chris Evans, 37, took notice. Jones posted her signature voiceover video featuring scenes in the movie, including the moment Captain America appears on screen for the first time. Safe to say he's her favorite. Saying, "Ladies and gentlemen, introducing my motherfucking husband." Joan narrates in the video, "Oh my God, Captain America, you are fine as fuck. And you got a beard, motherfucker, yeah." Now, in and of itself, it's a rather innocuous comment, right? It is. It's a rather innocuous comment. But Jones actually has a bit of a history of this. I know it's a bit played up for effect, but if you watch her ever engage with Colin Jost on Saturday Night Live, it is awkward to watch because it's like she super sexualizes him. And I know it's played up for a joke, but at the same time, if it was the other way around, you would have people's heads exploding on social media and calling for people to be fired. So there's a weird, I want to say like a weird hypocrisy and a weird protection that surrounds Leslie Jones in this regard. And I don't get it. Is it because of the Milo thing? Is it because of that from 2 years ago? The fallout from Ghostbusters? They want to give her a pass on her behavior. That's what it could be. Now Chris Evans responded with, though, and I give him credit for taking, the high road here, saying, "What's truly shocking is that this is exactly what Paul Bettany says to me every time I enter a room, verbatim." And so, I mean, he played it up as a joke. She clearly meant it as a joke, but I think that when you operate in Hollywood and you share the sentiment, of the Me Too and you don't speak up about, everything, whether they're real, whatever, I think you need to go back and look to see what ultimately Me Too boils down to. So according to its Wikipedia page here, the Me Too movement, with many local/international alternatives, is a movement against sexual harassment and assault. Me Too spread virally in October 2017 as the hashtag used on social media in an attempt to demonstrate the widespread prevalence of sexual assault and harassment, especially in the workplace. It followed soon after the sexual misconduct allegations against Harvey Weinstein. Tarana Burke, an American social activist and community organizer, began using the phrase Me Too as early as 2006, and the phrase was later popularized by American actress Alyssa Milano. Alyssa Milano, who also believes that 3D printed guns are going to be downloadable death, as covered on this channel earlier this week. Now, Milano encourages victims of sexual harassment to tweet out and give people a sense of the magnitude of the problem. As a result, this was met with success that included, but not limited to, high-profile posts from several American celebrities, including Gwyneth Paltrow, Ashley Judd, Jennifer Lawrence, and Uma Thurman. Now, here's the thing with this situation with Leslie Jones and Chris Evans here, right? So a couple years ago, when they were promoting Avengers: Age of Ultron, or it might have been Civil War, I think, there was a moment when I think they made a comment about Scarlett Johansson or something like that. Everybody laughed. Right. Like, I think Jeremy Renner made a comment about maybe her being like a hoe or something about her that that was very much construed as quote unquote derogatory, even though he was clearly making a joke, and everyone laughed at it. Now, that went viral, and people started talking about it, and people were furious at Chris Evans for laughing at it and everything else. So here we've got a situation where, this is her directing this kind of comment at Chris Evans, and it's celebrated. It's celebrated by People Magazine, right? Isn't it just, it's interesting in essence to see. It's interesting to see how this stuff plays out. Now, Leslie Jones also, and this is funny because she just said this the other day on The View, wants people to stop being so offended and let comedians do their job. So now, the reason why I want to bring this up is because if you look at, and I agree with her here. The thing is, this headline and what she said on The View, I completely, wholeheartedly agree with. Comedians are here to do a job. Comedians are here to kind of like talk about the dark and to make it funny because you'd rather laugh than cry. Completely agree with that. Endorphins are better than the alternative. So she's sitting there, calling out like, you fine as fuck, sexy motherfucker and shit on Twitter. That's her job. She's being funny about it. And that's what's got her to go to the Olympics a couple times. NBC keeps sending her as a commentator because people think she's funny when in reality, she's not really that funny. But and I would just like to kind of like hypothesize this. What if we looked at the situation from the alternative? What if it was not Leslie Jones talking about Chris Evans, but it was like Chris Evans talking about anyone else? Anne Hathaway, Shailene Woodley, Kirsten Dunst, Elizabeth Olsen, Scarlett Johansson, like what if Gal Gadot, whatever it is. People would be furious like they were when he laughed at a joke that Jeremy Renner made about Scarlett Johansson. Right. There is a level of hypocrisy when it comes to how Hollywood reacts to the Me Too movement. And yes, there is a level of hypocrisy when it comes to how Hollywood does hold themselves to a different set of standards than other people. I get that. The reason why I'm bringing this up and the reason why I'm talking about it is because I feel that we as a culture, we as a society, when we see this kind of stuff, the idea is to kind of like push back against it just as a reminder. Like, hey, listen, you don't agree with this from the other side, but here you are kind of doing it. And I know it's kind of hold them to their own standards. I get that. I get that. I'm not calling for anyone to be fired. I just want to point that out there. But we need to remind people that jokes are jokes. And Leslie here does believe that. But the question is, though, if you were to go to Leslie and make this comment to Leslie, would she then accuse you of attacking her? And that's the difference, though, between, I think, where some of these people are, what they preach and what they do, right? There's a difference there. So at the end of it, I just look at the situation as being wildly hypocritical, that the sexualization of Chris Evans is entirely applauded. Very similar to back, I want to say in 2013, when Ellen brought up shirtless photos of Chris Hemsworth on her show. Or it was her show, or was like she was hosting an award show or something, and she sexualized Chris Hemsworth in front of a very, 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 very large audience, and it was applauded. Whereas if the roles were reversed, if the genders were swapped, everyone would be losing their heads and calling for a culling. And that is why Hollywood really does need to learn a few things. And, it's sad that we've gotten to where we've gotten. I wish cooler heads would prevail. That's really all I want to say about that.